Welcome back to this week's episode of Hormones, Metabolism and You. I'm your host, Dr. Cassie Smith. I'm a functional medicine endocrinologist based out of Oklahoma City. Today, I brought on for you an air quality expert. Air is one of those things that we just take for granted. We all assume that the air that we breathe is just healthy, I guess. But actually, it's one of the things that make a lot of people really sick. 39% of the US lives in an area with unhealthy air population. 9% of homes in the United States actually have what's called severe air quality issues. And 70% of homes in the United States have some sort of mold. And I will tell you, as a functional medicine doctor, I take care of some very sick people from mold. And so if you're living in an environment with unhealthy air, it can make you really sick. And so I brought on an expert today to talk to us about this. His name is Mike Feldstein. He's the founder of Jaspr, and he's an air quality expert. He has a background in wildfire restoration, air quality consulting, and home remediation during some of the biggest natural disasters. Mike started Jaspr to innovate air science and technology. His goal is to protect air quality and improve human health using the latest air quality science. Jaspr is a home filtration air device. And if you follow me on social media, you've probably seen mine, but they're very modern industrial air filters for your home that actually completely get rid of mold, which a lot of air filtration systems do not do. And so I brought him on because I wanted to ask him lots of questions that a lot of times we take for granted. Again, our air. Air is something that can make you so sick. And again, I've seen this in my patients. And if you are somebody who, is sick and has been sick for a while and can't figure out why, make sure that you listen to this episode. He talks about the symptoms that you can have if the air in your home is making you sick. Most notably, we talk about allergies, asthma, runny noses. But then he also talked about if you're somebody who you go on vacation and you feel so good on vacation and you come back to your house and you start feeling sick again, we have a problem with the quality of the air in your home. And so we also talked about mold. Anytime you live in a humid area, so Oklahoma City, my Oklahoma City people, it is so humid here. So think about that. And he has developed this air filtration system that is an industrial air filtration system you can put in your home that is not noisy, that is it's a great system. It looks very, modern and chic. And I have several of them, but it's called Jaspr. And so I asked him to explain to us, how do you know what the quality of air in your home is? How do we make it better? What are the things that are polluting the quality of our air? If we can't afford a Jaspr system, what do we do to help improve the quality of our air? And so we just talked about lots of things with air. And I also asked him to walk us through, there are so many different air filtration systems. So I wanted him to talk to us about, how do you know that you have a good one? How do you know how to pick a good one? What's the difference with Jaspr? And then how you should feel and what symptoms should change if we clean your air. And so from a functional medicine standpoint, I love this episode because air is really important. I talk to my patients about water and nutrition and sleep and movement, but we don't think about air. And so I found this episode to be absolutely fascinating. We talked about a ton of amazing things, and make sure that you listen until the very end of the episode because he was kind enough to give our listeners a discount code that's only going to be good for the first week that this airs. And it's a really good discount code. So if you're somebody who has been sick, had issues with the quality of your air, make sure that you listen to this entire episode and then take advantage of his very kind offer for our listeners. So here we go. I'm very excited to have our next guest this week with us. This is Mike Feldstein. He is the founder of Jaspr. This is an air purifying system. So I know if you guys follow me on social media at all, you've seen my Jaspr. It's that white thing that looks very modern in my kitchen and in my bathroom, in my bedroom. And so I did a video showing you guys how it turns on and all the interesting things that it does with our air quality. And so I brought him on because I've had so many questions from you guys about air quality in general. And so he's going to give us all the answers to everything you guys want about air quality and what is Jaspr and how can we make our air quality better so that we don't end up sick or long-term, have long-term issues. So thank you for being with me today, Mike. I wanted to start by maybe having you tell people what is your background and kind of expertise in air quality and health, and like why did you get into this? Let's start with that.
Sure. My background, I spent almost 10 years in disaster recovery work, floods, fires, hurricanes, earthquakes, ice storms, hail damage. Basically, wherever was the most devastated part of North America, we would go there and we would rebuild and clean up homes after natural disasters. And when there wasn't disasters, my day job was air quality consulting. So I'd go into people's homes who were sick and didn't know why. They've done all the stuff, they've taken the supplement, they've done the detoxes, they've tried the Western medicine approach with all the meds, they've tried the natural approach with all the supplements and detoxing and all the stuff. And they were still constantly sick and didn't know why. And then they have this aha moment where they'd go on a vacation, feel great, come back, feel sick. Whoa, is my home making me sick? Was their aha air moment. Is my home making me sick? So we would get called in to go and assess the house, check for air, check for mold, check the carpets, check the insulation, do a deep dive into the home, almost like an MRI for your house, and find out, is there something lurking in your indoor environment that could be contributing to your health? And then on the disaster cleanup side, we would go to, big fires in California or hurricanes in Houston or Alberta, Canada, big floods and fires. And we would go there and people who would be evacuated from their home, we would make sure their home is safe for them to return. So go there, clean up the home, throw out all the toxic stuff, detox it, get it back in order, rebuild it if necessary, and then give it the green light for the families to move back home. We would use these machines called air scrubbers that are basically giant commercial air purifiers. One of those would be like 20 little air purifiers, maybe more. Very industrial. So they were amazing at cleaning the air, removing mold, bacteria, smoke, etc. However, they were big, loud, and ugly, like a subwoofer or a photocopier, massive. And then when I contrasted that to the small air purifiers that you'd see at Best Buy, Walmart, Amazon, Home Depot, $100 to $300, little plastic machines, I started testing those and realized, wow, these don't really work. They're good for a little bit of dust in like a closet, but they're being sold as these things that will clean the air in your bedroom or in your living room. And when we started to test it with our high quality air sensors, we realized these do nothing. So it was very frustrating because I'd go into someone's home who was sick and didn't know why. And the only solution I could suggest for them was these industrial grade machines that would be loud and ugly and annoying, which was just not practical. That was then creating noise pollution in their life. So I spent about 4 years, 4 years on a mission to create an air purifier that was commercial grade in its design and its performance, but beautiful and quiet, something that you'd be proud to put in your home. So that's sort of what set off my journey. I realized I could be more impactful creating high quality air filters that were beautiful and teaching people about air than I was going one at a time to people's homes, fixing them and testing them. So this feels to be a much more high impact way to spend my life. And here we are talking about air and health and stuff.
Wow. So much to unpack there, but yeah, I have so many questions. So you spent a lot of your background going into like hazardous cleanup areas to clean things, which is to me that you never really think about that. But there's been so many natural disasters recently, the fires in California, now there's fires in South Carolina. And to think about that, that's true. Like you have these areas that you need to go and clean up and I guess, make better or fix so that people can live in them. And so you did that for years. And so Jaspr then is a result of you wanting to be able to supply people with clean air in something that's not ginormous and ugly and loud in your words, right?
I originally thought we would be only focused on wildfire smoke. So the original vision for the company was, hey, when a city has a fire or where the whole country has smoke, instantly every big box store is instantly completely sold out of air purifiers. And these machines aren't even up for the task of the smoke. So my thought was, instead of going to a town after a wildfire smoke and cleaning one house at a time, let's go to town with 2 or 3 thousand air purifiers, set up shop, and have them available for people to pick up. So the whole vision was to create the best air purifier specifically for wildfire smoke. And then because we over engineered it for everyday use, when COVID happened and doctors and dentists legally needed air purifiers in their offices, we were the obvious choice. So we didn't intend to make it for businesses. And then for the first couple of years of the company, we only sold to doctors and dentists. We used to be called Jaspr Medical. It was a product for medical offices. And then the dental hygienists and the doctors would rave about it to their patients. They're like, our office is, super clean air certified. When you come here, you're breathing the best air. The patients would be like, wow, the air does feel awesome. Do they sell these for the home? The hygienist or the dentist would be like, I don't know. Ask them. Probably. They'd call us. We had no e-commerce. The only way to buy a Jasper at the beginning was to call me. And then we talked about your situation for an hour. Um, we had no e-commerce, no ability to buy it online. I'd like send you an invoice and then like mail you a Jasper. Um, and then over time, I'm like, wow, when a dentist buys a Jasper, their review is like, my patients and staff feel safe. Okay, whatever, fine. But then when mom was buying it for her kid, she's like, my kid's not having asthma attacks anymore. We're sleeping better. My husband stopped storing. My allergies are gone. I'm like, okay, selling to dentists, maybe a good business, incredibly boring and not fulfilling. Selling to families who are now sleeping better and having more energy and not getting sick, I could get behind this. So now I never thought we'd be like in general health and wellness and stuff like that, but here we are.
Yeah. So tell listeners, what are some of the symptoms that you can have? I know you pointed out and this is a great one. I ask people this all the time. If you're just kind of chronically sick and you've tried all the things, that's usually how you end up in my office because we do functional medicine very well. We look at your gut, we do, very in depth testing. But you made a good point, and I say this to my patients. If you're somebody listening to this and you chronically feel ill, and you go on vacation for a week and you feel amazing and you come home and you feel sick again, that's like a huge red flag to me when you're talking to me, right? Like something is wrong with the quality of your home. So that's obviously a symptom that you listed. What are some other symptoms though that people could have that would help them know, hey, maybe the air in my home is making me sick?
Well, it's hard to say based on other things that one has tried. I think air is quite similar to food in the sense that, like, you could survive off of McDonald's every day. You could do it. Your body will run, but your energy levels are going to suck. Your brain fog, your focus. But, like, if you've always eaten bad food, you might not notice the difference until you clean up your diet and you're like, wow, I feel great. I didn't know I could feel so good. Someone who is like, so the worse you feel, the better you'll appreciate feeling good when you make some big changes. So often those symptoms could be poor sleep. Sleep is like the biggest reason that people invest in clean air. And then just any general allergy symptoms, runny noses, dry eyes, dry throat, itchy skin, people who have autoimmune eczema, psoriasis type flare ups. Like poor air, what that really means is like there's stuff getting in your body all day long, whether it's bacteria, mold, cedar, insect parts, dead skin cells, pet dander, general pollution from cars, from factories, from your neighbor's bounce sheets, from Windex, from Clorox, from microplastics, just like the same way your water can be contaminated, so you want to drink filtered water. Most breaths that you take in a modern society are fairly contaminated. So if you can stop breathing all that stuff, they say 70% of all the detox in your body happens in your lungs. And when somebody is dealing with your body is playing defense all night long because don't think in your home you're not breathing in mold and pollen and cedar and allergens and cooking particulate, VOCs, chemicals, off gassing from the paint, the insulation, the furniture, the carpets, the rugs, the fire retardants. You're breathing in all that stuff all night long while you're sleeping. So your body's playing defense and it can't get into a parasympathetic, deep, healing, recovering state of rest because it's still playing defense. But if all of a sudden you turn your bedroom into a clean air sanctuary, and now you're breathing pure, clean air all night long, as nature intended it, your body can go deep and it can relax and it can heal. And then when you go out and about and you live your modern life and you're exposed to different contaminants and particles and gases and stuff, you're fine. You're resilient. You can handle that in small doses. But when it's a 24-hour beat down, that's when we have big problems. So just like everything from sleep, energy, basically everything.
Okay. So poor sleep and allergy type symptoms. The Jasper filters, I want to know this personally. Obviously, they're cleaning your air. Do they do anything with like the humidity of the air or like moisture of the air?
No. So the only way to take humidity out of the air would be with a dehumidifier. Ventilation can help too, like bathroom fans. It depends how humid it is outside versus inside. If it's more humid inside than outside, then opening windows will help with humidity. If it's more humid outside than inside, then bringing more fresh air will increase humidity. So air purifiers will not remove or reduce humidity, but what they will do is high humidity usually equals a lot of mold spores in the air. So the Jasper and air purifiers in general will remove the mold spores. So not the humidity itself, but the problem with the humidity is the microbial growth, and the Jaspers will take care of that.
So the reason I ask is because we are filming this right after a weekend I went to Joshua Tree for like a yoga retreat, right? And so it was wonderful, but the air is really dry and we were outside a lot. And I'm so used to sleeping in my bedroom, I think now with my lovely Jasper air filter. And like, I just felt like the third day I was there, I felt terrible. Like everything itched and like hurt. And I don't get allergy symptoms really. And then since I've been home, like when I got home the first night, I was just so itchy and like everything in my throat hurt. It's getting better. But I wonder if some of that was like what I was breathing out there, right? Like just out in
It
nature.
totally could be because I mean, it's dry for sure out there.
Yeah.
But like the best way I explain it to people who are, and what's nice about talking to like your audience is everybody's already very health aware and health conscious, and no one listens to your podcast unless they're trying to be healthier and feel better. So it's awesome because there's a certain amount of baseline knowledge and understanding. Whereas if you're just talking to someone off the street, they might still just be drinking tap water. They might be paying no attention to what they eat. So that's a hard conversation to have because I'm like, it's one step at a time. So anyone who believes in drinking filtered water already, if you think about that, when you were a kid, you would just drink straight from the tap from the hose, and now you're like, wait, hose water tastes like plastic and like lead. Well, because it is. And once you start drinking filtered water, if you go to a restaurant and they give you tap water that's not filtered, it tastes chlorinated, tastes gross, tastes hard. You can tell the difference between filtered water and spring water and stuff and tap water. So once you start, if you've been breathing tap air your whole life, and then all of a sudden you start breathing really clean air, which you are now at home with your Jaspers, when you go to hotels, when you go to someone else's home, when you go to an Airbnb, you're way more sensitive to it because you're not used to breathing all these toxins and all these pollutants all the time. So I say there's one really bad part of investing in a Jasper is you could become an air snob.
Maybe I think that's what it is. I think I've become an air snob because I seriously like don't get allergy symptoms. I'm typically, very healthy. I do all my infusions, take my vitamins, but I told my husband, and the funny thing was when I went to Joshua Tree, my husband went out of town as well to do something else with his, boy thing. And so when he came back too, when we both got home on Sunday night, we were both like, our throats hurt. And I thought that was strange because we didn't even go to the same state. And then Monday when we woke up, we were like, yeah, they still kind of hurt. And they've just kind of slowly gotten better. So I think that maybe we have become,
Same thing actually happened to me last weekend, and I normally travel with my Jasper,
oh, is that
but
an
it was
option?
it is for me.
Oh, you just take it like
Um,
put it in a case or
I
something?
I literally put it back in the original packaging, and I take it to the airport. And well, often we have like partners we work with or customers, so I'll often just bring a new one and then like Uber it to someone as a surprise gift. So I have that luxury. But I do travel with mine. I might eventually make a travel case. Also, it's free to check a Jasper at the airport because it's a medical device. So they don't charge you for an extra bag.
Oh my gosh, you have to make a travel bag for it. Yes, I would.
Because I can't make a small one because a small one won't work. So it would have to be a travel bag. But what I'm really working on now, um, is getting in with a lot of hotels. So starting next month, we'll be in our first hotel. There's a really beautiful wellness hotel in Fort Lauderdale. I'm not going to say who it is yet, but I'll tell you when it's live. But we'll be setting them up in April. I'll just say it. It's called the Carillon Hotel, Carillon Wellness Hotel, Carillon. By the time this pod drops, it should be all set up. So we'll see. But basically, the idea is we're going to help them with creating sleep sanctuaries. So when you walk into your hotel room, it's going to say, "Welcome to your sleep sanctuary." Beside the bed will be like, "Get ready for the best sleep of your life." And then beside the Jasper, it's going to say, "The air in this room is 20 times cleaner than your bedroom. Scan here to find out why." And the whole idea is, how crazy is that you can go to a hotel, pay three, four, five, six, seven, eight thousands of dollars for a sleep at a hotel, and the air sucks. And my whole thing is, it is unacceptable for them to be charging this kind of money to provide you. You're really booking a good night's sleep on the road. That's what you're trying to get out of a hotel. People don't even care about the size of the room, really. They just want a good bed, cool air, good sheets, non-toxic chemicals in the bathroom and in the room, and that the cleaning company uses, and some clean air would be nice too. And the fact that a lot of hotels, they charge you 90 to $100 a night, and they bring you like a cheap little plastic air purifier out. First of all, those suck. Second of all, that's if they're willing to rent you an air purifier, it means they're admitting that their air sucks in the first place. So I won't work with any hotels unless they put one in every single room. And I'm literally giving it to the hotels for free. They're not keeping them. I'm placing them there so their guests can have high quality sleep. And because I've seen very clearly when people start sleeping with Jaspers, they sleep amazing and they don't want to stop sleeping with it. So I'm finding really good hotels that are all about wellness and helping them improve their sleep game.
I love that. So my suggestion is the One Hotel. I love the One Hotel. I'm going to the one in Kauai for my birthday at the end of the month, and that's like a wellness retreat. I don't know if you know anything about the One Hotels, but they are
The one hotel and the
amazing.
proper hotel are my
Yeah.
top two that I'm working
Uh,
on.
Those are amazing. So whatever I have to do to help get you in the One Hotel, that's like when I travel, if I go somewhere, I want to stay at a One Hotel. Their food is amazing. I mean, you know what I mean? So that
I
would
tested
be,
out Nashville, I tested out Brooklyn, I tested out Toronto. I've been assessing one hotels very specifically. I have a whole photo album in my phone of Jasper photo shoots in one hotel rooms.
yeah. How do we make it where I can take one to Kauai for you and we can just have it in the hotel room for a week?
We could do it. We could do it. We could send one to the hotel, and then you just have to bring it to the GM and be like, "Why don't you have these when you leave?" And get what you do is you go, you find out who the general manager is, and when you leave, you check out. The name of the GM at the proper hotel in Santa Monica was Bruno. So when I left, I'm like, "Leave this for Bruno," and I sent him an email. And when I travel, I test the air quality in the hotel rooms. And I've tested the air in many one hotel rooms. And then I go, "This is the air now, and then this is the air with Jasper." And typically we get the air 20 times cleaner in 30 minutes. So they're so close. They have almost everything, but they need clean air.
They do because their food and their ambiance and just the relaxation is amazing at One Hotels. Like I could not say anything nicer about their food and just in general, but you and I are on a mission to get this in the One Hotel, especially the one in Kauai. So how do you test the air quality in like a hotel room like that? Like how does that work?
I use this thing called the laser particle counter. I have like a really fancy high-end one. Um, and probably most people are listening, but we're also on video with our call here today. So this is what the particle counter like looks like. It's like this big. Actually, you can see one here. So this was from the proper hotel in Santa Monica. So see, it says no Jasper. And read that number. How many particles are in the air?
Yeah, 726,040 particles.
Yeah. So then and the PM 2.5, which is the number that's the most harmful particles, is 32,000. So now I turn on the Jasper for 30 minutes.
And it went down to 4,448 on
Yeah. So it got
104,000.
the air got 8 times cleaner in 30 minutes.
Wow.
And like it's shocking when I bring people into the hotel room, they're like, "Whoa." There was a hotel in Miami that I called the Biltmore Hotel, and they wanted to test some Jaspers. They have a room they literally can't rent because when a guest checks in, they instantly are like, "Ugh, it stinks in here. It's moldy. It's filled with chemical. Like, what's wrong with this place?" So they had to take the room out of circulation because it was so bad. And I went in with their housekeeping and their head of rooms, and we ran the Jasper for 30 minutes. The air went from like, it got so clean that everybody all of a sudden felt fine to the point where when we left the room, the hallway felt gross because we went from a disgusting room and we made it cleaner than the hallway. Then when we walked back to the hallway, we're like, ah, and like that was the regular hallway that they've had the whole time.
What is it pulling out? Like, what are the primary pollutants and things that are affecting the air quality? Like, what is it getting?
Well, also just like think about a fishbowl, right? Like what water is to fish, air is to people. So if you have a fish tank, once in a while you need to like scrub the bowl. That would be the same as like cleaning your carpets, cleaning your counters. But mostly, how do you keep a fish tank clean? You have a filter. The water is being filtered. How do you keep your swimming pool clean? The water is being filtered. You don't just like jump in with a brush and like scrub the walls of the pool. And with our homes, we're busy here like vacuuming, mopping, like wiping walls and stuff. But the water for us is air. We don't filter it. So if you're not filtering the air in your home and it's a tight bucket, your home is disgusting. It's like that's why when we test the average air, there's a million particles in the average person's bedroom. So what's in the air? So yeah, like I said, there's mold in every breath you take indoors and outside. But outside, at least we have sun, we have wind, we have rain, we have trees. Nature is a fantastic air purifier. But we built our homes and our buildings so tight that we've left all of the nature outside. So now inside, we have all the outside stuff that came in, the smoke, the pollen, the mold, the pollution, the rubber from it's okay. All right. So you have the rubber from the cars, the tires. If your neighbor is using, and just like the glyphosate from everybody's yards, all the chemicals that people are spraying on their properties, all of that goes airborne, and then that comes in your house. And then within your house, you have everything. You have hairsprays, cleaning products, cooking particulates, pet danders, your carpets off gas. So that your home is just, if you look around your home, there's a lot of chemicals, there's a lot of products. Like every piece of furniture is made in a factory. It's quite a chemical intensive process. And then as soon as they're done manufacturing it, they wrap it up really tight. It goes off to the distributor, and then you buy it online or in the store, and it ships to your house. And then they open it up, and now for that next year, that furniture is just off gassing in your home. So you have all the outdoor pollutants, and then you have all the indoor pollutants just contaminating your air. And then if you're not filtering it, that's what you're breathing all the time.
So you're saying when you buy something new, like a sofa or a bed, or it off gases for a year in your house?
Easily, yeah. That's why often if someone is a Jasper and they order like a new mattress or a couch, it's often when they bring that new furniture and Jasper kicks up right away because it's detecting that new particulate. So, when the weather permits it, opening doors, opening windows, putting it in a room that you don't use with all, like letting it breathe, letting it off gas, which is actually like, I'm a big advocate for buying used furniture if it's not like a couch or a mattress, but like a baby's crib or like a dining table or a coffee table, like something that's wood. I like to buy my stuff that's done, it's off gassing already in someone else's house. I also have like five Jaspers here. So even if I occasionally do bring things in that are polluting my air, we're filtering it out in real time. It's just like the water you're bringing in from the city or from a well, it doesn't matter. It's filled with chlorine, it's filled with bacteria, wherever you get your water from. You got to filter your water at home. And it's really no difference for your air and the stuff that you bring in your house.
Yeah, and to your point, mold. So, like, I see this so much in people, especially in Oklahoma. So, I live in Oklahoma. It's so humid here in the summer, like so humid. And unfortunately, I see a lot of patients who have brand new homes, right? Brand new homes that were built in the middle of summer that weren't sealed correctly, or it's raining, whatever. And brand new homes have mold, and sometimes they have a lot of mold. And so, oh, I mean, like, I've seen some really bad stuff where, somebody comes in there really sick, and I'm like, you have six types of mold in your body. It's coming from your house. Your kid has the same thing. Like, and then you get the house tested, and oh my gosh, it's there, but they're upset because their house is 2 years old. And I'm like, well, it just takes one leak or one thing not being done correctly, and you have mold. And especially in Oklahoma when it's 110 degrees here and 90% humidity, I mean, mold loves that, right? And so it's just, but to your point, like opening the windows and stuff, I sometimes don't do that because I'm like, well, it's really hot outside and I don't want all that inside. And so it's hard. But the Jasper filter will remove mold.
Oh, it's probably the thing it does best. So check this out. This is a photo so we have a photo on our website, which we're going to update now, which was done last year with our older filter, showing that Jasper removed 87% of the mold in the air in 1 hour. We just got our new study back. This is after 2 hours, but check this out. Here's the lab study. For anyone who's watching on video, I'm showing a lab study right now. So the picture on the left shows the mold in minute zero. That's a 500 square foot room with 8 foot ceilings. So that's how much mold was in the sample. And then on the other side, this is from the lab. There's the mold sample taken at the 120-minute mark with virtually no mold, 99.99% removal. And then at the 3 hour mark, it was 100% no mold. So the filter is really, really great at filtering mold spores out of the air. Because Jasper is large, it's moving a lot of air even when it's quiet. So yeah, air purifiers are amazing for mold and allergens and pollen and physical particles, like game changing. That's why your throat's fine at home and not so fine on the road. When I was in Chicago last weekend, for one night, my throat got sore, and it too now is slowly coming back around because I'm sleeping in a hotel. I'm breathing all their cleaning products, all their bedding, and all their linen chemicals. The person yesterday in the room might have been vaping using their chemicals, their body, they're off gassing, and then it just sits in that little hotel room for me to march on in and start breathing. And most hotel rooms don't even have windows that open. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. It's like that's why I'm passionate and that's why I'm doing this for the next 20 years. Like until we get to the point, like if you go to Asia, Asia's very air aware. Like I remember being at a bank like 8 years ago in Asia, and every teller had an air purifier in their room. The same way, if you go to an office now, it would be very weird if you asked for like, if you went to like a doctor's office and you asked for water and they like went to the bathroom and like filled you up from the tap. That would be weird and uncommon now. Uh, any office, typically it's like there's going to be like a Culligan machine, there'll be like a water filter or an RO tap. Filtered water is kind of the norm now. If you go to someone's house, normally they're not just like filling you up straight tap. At the very least, it's the fridge filter. But we typically know that we should filter the water that we drink in some capacity. And this in America and in Canada, we haven't caught up yet. So we're just breathing tap air all day long and not filtering it, and it's making us feel really shitty.
Yeah, because the first thing they teach you in medical school is A, B, C, airway, right? That's number one, even before your heart. So it makes sense that if you're breathing in this crappy air, you're going to feel bad. And, I see so many patients that are so sick and patients with mold. So if you're listening to this and you have mold, you've talked to me about mold, you've been told you have mold, you're sick, like you must have a Jaspr filter to fix this mold and get rid of it and clean it. So explain to me this. I want to know a couple things. Number one, I want you to tell people like how many Jaspers would you need in a
I also
house
want
to
to
make
tell people a couple free things that they can do too. So,
okay. And
uh,
then I also want you to tell how your Jasper filter is different from the filters that they
exactly.
would buy at
So I would
Home
say the
Depot.
next best thing, especially if someone's like really cost and budget conscious, a DIY air purifier is going to be better than almost everything you're going to find at like Best Buy, Home Depot, Walmart by far. If you literally Google DIY air purifier, there's a system called the Corsi Rosenthal box where you take like a bunch of different filters from Home Depot, flat ones, and you put a box fan on top. You can make the whole thing for like 100 or so dollars, and it's gonna way outperform almost every air purifier you're gonna buy at a store, like a cheap residential grade one. We're a commercial grade one. So I'll tell you what's different about Jasper. But like for anyone who's like really wants clean air but is really on a budget, a DIY option is great. The bad part about DIY stuff, it's a little bit loud. It's very ugly and it won't have a sensor. So it's not going to automatically go up and down based on cooking, based on cleaning, things like that. And that's unfortunate. But in terms of like just raw air cleaning power, it's going to be great. So what Jasper's kind of focus was is we wanted to make something that's commercial grade. What does that mean? It means a couple things. So first of all, we make Jasper out of steel. It's not plastic. Almost every air purifier you see, they use very cheap ABS plastic. And if they're cheap on the outside, what do you think they're putting on the inside? They even went cheap on the thing that the customer sees. Wait till you see all the stuff you don't see. The motor is this big, the filter is this little white, cheap little thing. The sensors are very low quality. Their whole goal as a company is how do we make a cheap air purifier that people will buy? Because they know the average consumer is not educated. They're going to go on Amazon, they're going to look for something cheap. And if they don't know why they should invest in something better, you get the cheap one. I get it. It's like if you I like to use my water analogy. It's like you could just use your pot and boil your water. Most people get a kettle. You could get a kettle for $20 at Walmart. It will heat your water just fine. Maybe microplastics, It's going to heat water though. It's going to do a good job at what it's supposed to do, but it's going to look really ugly, and you're probably going to like hide it in the counter every time you use it. Or you might get a kettle for like $100 from like West Elm or Crate and Barrel or Restoration Hardware, maybe Amazon at this point in time. Maybe it's glass, maybe it's like black metal, and it's a beautiful kettle. You leave it on display. You don't have to hide it every time you're done using it. And you're happy to pay that extra $80 for something that works good, it's quality, and it looks good too. So the ethos of Jaspr, what we're good at doing, we clean the air really good, and we also look really good while doing it. So the kettle analogy is important because if you're trying to use a kettle to heat a cup of tea, it's the perfect tool. If you're trying to fill your bathtub with a kettle, you can't do it. Literally, the water is going to be cooling down faster than you could possibly heating it up because it's too small to get the job done. And most of those little air purifiers you see are basically kettles trying to heat bathtubs. And that's why they don't work. So Jasper is made from steel. It's large, so it is a big motor and a big fan. So it can operate silently while still moving a lot of air. It has really good sensors. And not only does it adapt to the air in real time, but it shows you on the screen what the air level is. So if you're cooking, if you're cleaning, it becomes people's like non-toxic educational sidekick. Because if you go and use a hairspray that's putting a lot of VOCs into the air, Jasper's going to go crazy, turn red, turn to like a 200, and give you, it's going to ramp up and ramp down and give you feedback. And then if you start using more low tox or non tox products, it's not going to ramp up so much. So it becomes your kind of educational sidekick of what are you polluting your air with? Or you open your door and Jasper kicks up, you're like, oh, maybe the air is not so good outside today. So it kind of becomes your air sidekick. Design's a big deal because it's 360 degrees. So a lot of people, like if you have like an air doctor or something, just picking a random brand, they have they only take in the air on two sides. So what that means is you can't put it against the wall or against the corner because you're literally blocking half of the airflow from coming in. If it's at 360 degrees, you can put it in the corner, you can put it against the wall, you can put it wherever it's most convenient for you. And then you want something that vents up and out into the breathing zone, not blowing air forward, kicking up dust. And last but not least, my big pet peeve with most air purifiers was that they usually have a button that says sleep mode. But when you push sleep mode, it turns off those bright, annoying lights, but it also turns the fan speed down to like 5%. And it's funny, it's like the only thing you're putting to sleep is the air purifier. Most people actually want their air purifier on a high fan speed at night to create some white noise with no lights. And they don't let you do that. So we just have a button that's called dark mode, so you can turn it dark and have the fan speed high. So a little bit of white noise, super clean air, and no bright lights. So I just created the product as a former like mold, fire, flood guy that I would want in my house. And then whoever wants the same thing that I want can buy it. And then whoever wants to make a DIY one can do that too. So there's lots of different options out there. But if people want, and then the lifetime warranty is a big deal too. So I think a product is only as good as the company that supports it. So if you look at a lot of companies and their air purifier has a 1 year warranty, it's like, why do they have a 1 year warranty? It's because they're only confident that the air purifier is going to last 1 year. Otherwise, they would have a 3 year or 5 year warranty. So we have a lifetime warranty. And that means if your Jasper breaks, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, we send you a new one the next day. You take the new one out of the box, you put the old one back in the box. So no, you don't have to keep that old box around. And then, so you take the new one out, you put the old one in, we give you a prepaid UPS shipping label, and we send UPS to pick it up at 9 a.m. from your front porch or from your condo or from your apartment the next day. So our thought is if Jasper breaks, that's our fault, that's our problem. The customer should not have to find a box, find a receipt, go to FedEx, pay $100 shipping. We should bear all of the responsibility for screwing up. And that really puts the pressure on us to make a high quality product. So we're high quality and high touch in our service, in our support, in our education. And that's just the kind of company I want to be a part of.
Yeah. So things I want to point out, it is true. They are very pretty. I'm very particular in what goes in my house. They're very modern looking, very clean. I'm also very picky about lights and sound when I sleep. And so to your point, the dark mode, I do like that because I don't really hear it. I don't like there's no light that's bothering me. So I do love that about it. The other thing, though, to your point was it has educated me a ton. I was telling you this before we started the podcast. I have one in my kitchen, and I was blown away at the amount of particles that are in the air when you cook. So I'm very like non-stick, non-Teflon. Like I have all the good pots and pans and things that aren't supposed to have like forever chemicals in them. And still, every time I cook something, my Jaspr goes from green to orange. At least sometimes it goes to red. Like sometimes it gets mad. And so I was asking you, Mike, explain to people why when you cook does the air quality get so bad? And think about this, guys. If you're cooking, like sometimes I'm sitting there cooking for 20 minutes, you're breathing all of this stuff that made your Jaspr turn red. So that's like not good, right? So what is that? Why is it doing that?
Yeah, and when we use an air sensor, so let's say when your Jasper goes red when you cook, how long until you're back in the green typically?
Oh, it's usually not very long, like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's perfect. So it could be if you're like making a cast iron steak and you have a big space, maybe it's up to 20, 25 minutes, but 10 minutes is pretty normal. Well, we run studies or experiments where we take the Jasper out of the room, but we put the air sensor in the room. And how long do you think it stays red for?
Probably 30 minutes, an hour.
At least 6 to 8 hours, often to the next day, because your home is airtight. So when you're not filtering it, it just keeps recirculating. It gets embedded in your bedding, your sheets, your blankets, your clothes, your carpets until it absorbs into every material of your home, which is then keeps getting re-kicked up. But yeah, it's not like a couple hours. It could be many hours to a day. And then it's not out of your house. It's now embedding in everything because you have to think about cleaning. Like when we were cleaning up anything when I was, in the cleaning business, basically, it's always a two-pronged approach, surface and air. Just like that fish tank, you got to clean the bowl and the water. So if I'm cleaning a room, we have to be cleaning the surfaces and cleaning the air. And when you clean the air, your surfaces don't get dusty, they don't get dirty, your carpets stay much cleaner, your area rugs stay cleaner, your bedding stays fresher. So you have to think about surface and air as an integrated approach in how you clean.
When you're saying that, this makes so much sense. So, so we have what's it called over your stove? The thing that pulls the air up, range hood. Yes. And it's stainless steel. And before we got our Jasper, that thing would get disgusting with grease. Like just gross. Like it would have like you could see the amount of grease that was on it and you'd have to scrub it. And since we've gotten our Jasper, my cleaning lady even said to me, like, I don't have to scrub that anymore. Like she asked me, are you not cooking anymore? I'm like, actually, I'm cooking more than I've ever cooked. But it's because it's not getting on there, right? Because the air's keeping it clean, probably. I never thought
I
about
mean,
that.
that's directly under the range. I wonder if there's some other factors there as well, but it could certainly contribute for sure. Especially because that fan, if it's running, it's the one that's picking up all the particulate. So it definitely makes sense.
But our Jasper is pretty close to our range. Like I have it pretty close to that.
Just so you know, you can put it anywhere in your living room and it won't make a difference. It can be as far away behind a couch. It can be 30, 40 feet away and it won't be any less effective than right beside it.
Yeah, so how big of a range will that? So like I have an open kitchen living room. How big of a range will that clean?
Well, first I'll just tell you what happens when you cook. When you cook and you have high heat and protein specifically, there's a lot of chemical byproducts, but the big one's called PAH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. This is the same thing that we would test for after wildfires. So same kind of thing. And PAH is created, yeah, from it's a chemical reaction from the high heat and the protein. And then that gets embedded in everything. So you want to filter that out of the air before it gets into your furniture, your carpets, your clothing, your bedding, etc. So you don't want to think about air purifiers in terms of square feet. If you ever see a brand being like, it cleans like 600 square feet or 2,000 square feet, that's usually nonsense. First of all, that's assuming it's on full speed all the time. Usually, if you look at the fine print, it's like 7 foot ceilings, like it's a tiny low height ceilings. If you have a 16-foot ceiling versus an 8 foot ceiling, that's twice as much air. So it's really cubic volume that matters a lot more than square foot. So it's length times width times height. The higher the ceilings, the more air. The smaller the room, the cleaner the air. Which is why a Jasper in your bedroom in particular gives you the cleanest possible air in your bedroom. So Jasper in a bedroom setting could get you air 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 times cleaner air, which is really what you want in your bedroom. If you put that into your open concept living kitchen room area, it's probably going to get your air like 5 or 6 times cleaner, which is great. On quiet, that's a nice, reasonable amount of cleaner air given a larger space. And then, of course, if you cook, or if it detects a spike in particulate, it'll ramp up and kind of take care of that very quickly. So that's sort of the best way I like to think about it.
So, yeah, that's it's so interesting though to think about just, I think so this podcast I did it so that we can kind of help people become healthier like you said. And part of medicine and health in general is like we miss big pictures. Like in medicine specifically, we're always worried about like this one thing. We put people in boxes. We don't look at the big picture. And the quality of your air is huge picture, and it's like something that's just missed a lot of times, right? Just like gut health and nutrition, like we know, I think most people listening to this know, like I should eat well, I should probably not breathe, smoke, it bothers me when I do. But just hearing you explain it, it's just like so aha duh, like it doesn't matter. I like to tell my patients this all the time. It doesn't matter if you go to Whole Foods and spend $500 on organic groceries and you're exercising and you're, getting your red light therapy and walking and doing all the things you're supposed to be doing if you're not doing very basic things like sleeping well, breathing well. If you're doing all these things and spending all this money on health, but then you're smoking cigarettes or you're drinking too much, or I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Like it's not, you can't, just like you can't out exercise a bad diet. Well, you can't out breathe like bad air. And
Literally,
especially
breath work right now, people talk more about breath work than air quality. So they're there hyperventilating and huffing and puffing, and it's nothing against breath work. I think it's a really cool thing that has a lot of benefits for people. But you don't want to do that with dirty air. And people are focusing more on the way that they breathe. Like, do you talk more about food quality or eating? Do you talk about water quality or drinking? But for whatever reason, people literally talk more about breathing than air. I think we take it for complete granted. If you take the fish out of the water, it flails around for a couple minutes and dies. The same thing happens to the human if you take them out of the air. And we can't live there. It's the first thing we do when we're born. It's the last thing we do when we die is take a breath. We eat 2 pounds of food in a day. We drink like 2 liters of water, or less than a gallon in the water, and we breathe like 20,000 liters of air in a day. We're breathing over 15,000 times. Babies can be breathing up to 100,000 times a day. So, and when you're thirsty, you go get a drink of water. When you're hungry, you go get a bite of food. And literally, if you're not breathing, there's nothing else. Like you can go 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and 3 minutes without air. So I think we really take air for granted. We massively take it for granted. We literally can do it in our sleep. You can't drink or eat in your sleep because you would die in a few minutes if you weren't breathing. You haven't stopped since you were born, and you never will till you die. And for this reason, we just completely ignore the stuff. It's like water, fish don't pay much attention to water either, but a lot of them are swimming in very contaminated oceans and seas and lakes. So yeah, to me, it's like it's step zero to health for me. And the idea of like an eight, $900,000 air purifier is expensive, but you can go and spend $500, like you said, on a week's groceries. You could spend 10 grand on a whole home water filtration system and just be lying there. You can't heal in the place that made you sick. And you can't detox your body if you don't detox your home. So I think anytime someone's unwell, like step one, let's get clean air in your bedroom. We did a study with 150 people with Aura rings last year. The average person, when they put a Jasper in their bedroom, slept 27 minutes more per night with 18% more deep sleep. It just, clean air is a no-brainer. So, and it's also the laziest way to be healthy. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to journal. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to go on the cold plunge. And those things are fine too. But clean air, clean water, clean food is like table stakes.
No, I completely agree. So many reasons to have clean air and to look at Jasper. Thank you so much for sharing all of your information and all this with my listeners. Before I get to the questions that I ask all of my guests, can you tell everyone? So, Mike has been nice enough for the listeners to give you guys a really good discount code if you want to get a Jasper. And I would highly recommend you take advantage of this because although they are somewhat pricey, they are very worth it. And so, will you kind of tell everyone about the?
And like sometimes it's very expensive to be cheap. I've made the mistake many, many times. I buy the cheap thing and I'm replacing it every 2 or 3 years and I don't even know if it works versus buying something quality once with a lifetime warranty that just works and you don't have to replace it. Because I know people who've changed their cheap air purifier every 3 years. It's like you've paid way more money than you would have if you just got the good one the first time. So Jasper is normally 11.99. It used to be $2,000 a couple years ago when we were selling to doctors. Code Dr. Casey gives you a $400 off discount. And this podcast comes out today, May 25th. So between today, May 25th, and May 31st, so through the end of May until midnight, May 31st, code Dr. Casey will give you $400 off. Also, we already give people a bundle discount because one Jasper in your bedroom is great. But if you think about it, like if you buy four Jaspers with code Dr. Casey, and the more you buy, the bigger the discounts get on our website. I think four Jaspers with your code is like $2,500. So it's like $625 each. And then now you have a whole home clean air system. All your room's clean, your kids' rooms are clean, your living room's clean. So three or four Jaspers in a home is going to provide like a clean air whole home solution. So it's the world has taught you to think about it as like an air purifier, like this room gadget, but three or four of them can provide a whole home clean air system. So at the very least, one for your bedroom would be hugely impactful. But so yeah, code Dr. Casey, $400 off between May 25th today and May 31st. And if you add more to your cart, the discounts will keep getting bigger. So hopefully that helps for anybody. And our website is jaspr.co. Hopefully you can throw it in the show notes, but it's JASPR, no E. Jaspr.co, Jasper.co, code Dr. Casey, May 25th till May 31st. Now let's hear your questions.
Yes, we will put all of this stuff in the show notes. And just I would completely agree. I think that it's great that you do the bundle and that you get a bigger. I have three, but I'm going to get two more, maybe three more, because now I'm going to get one for my office too. Because I was just sitting here thinking, I feel so good when I'm at home, and like everywhere I'm at home, I have one, but I spend 10 hours a day in my office. So
Is your office customer facing or is it just for you?
yeah, no, no, no. We see patients. I have patients that come. So I'm just sitting here thinking modern
I'll
endocrine
send you
probably
two
needs
for your clinic. I'll send you two for your clinic. That's on
oh,
me.
that would be amazing. Yeah, I was just
That way, when
thinking,
your patients come in, they can all of a sudden have the relief. A lot of them probably haven't breathed clean air their entire life. So as soon as they come in, you can have one when they enter, and you can have one in the room where you see patients. And also, often people don't realize it, but they're sick. They have infections, their kids, school, whatever. They have a lot of stuff they're carrying, and they're sharing the air with you and your staff and the next patient. So, from an infection control standpoint and keeping everybody healthy and clean, when you guys are sharing the air in an office space, it lowers they did a study in Finland. They put Jaspers into daycares and instantly absenteeism and sick kids dropped by 30%.
yeah, and to your point about, and that's amazing. I appreciate that. To your point about the cost, like if you're listening to this and you're one of my patients or you've been a patient and you've had mold issues, you've been sick from mold, that's going to cost you $6,000 to $10,000 to fix. Like period. Like end of discussion. Not to mention if you don't fix the actual issue with the mold or you're not continuing to breathe clean air, you're going to repeat that process. Like a lot of the people that I clean up for mold have already been cleaned up for mold once. Like they've already spent $6,000 or $10,000 and we're doing it again. So it really, although it sounds expensive, like I take care of these people all the time. We do ozone, we do red light. And I was just sitting here thinking I need to get one of these filters and put in our IV suite because I treat a lot of really sick people with ozone and IV therapy and stuff for Lyme and mold. And like, so that room, it's probably a 300 square foot room needs one of these filters so they can breathe clean air while they're sitting there and they'll feel better just from that. So to your point, it may seem expensive, but your health is an investment. I tell people this all the time. Like it is the one investment you have to make in yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to spend a lot more money in the long run and it's going to cost you your life, like, your livelihood, your ability to be with your friends and your family and feel well. And so health is just one of those things. You just have to invest in it.
All right, I just texted Justin. Two Jaspers will be on their way to your clinic.
You are so kind.
You're
My
on your own
patients,
for the home units, but your clinic, we got you covered.
that is awesome. My patients will appreciate that. So we will put all your stuff in the show note. We'll make sure everyone knows. And also to my people that are listening, on my website, on Modern Endocrine's website, we have a section of our favorites under about, and Jaspr is on there. So it'll take you to their site. It has the code, everything that you need on their website too. So all of my favorite things that keep you healthy. So what is one thing that anyone can do for their health to make it better that's completely free? And I think I know what you're going to say.
Um, Open your windows when you cook. Don't wear your shoes in your house. Use your range hood when you cook and use your bathroom fan when you shower.
Yeah, breathe clean air, right? Okay, what is one food that's most beneficial and why?
I don't know. I stay in my lane as air guy, but from a food perspective, an addition by subtraction guy. So I probably don't eat all the healthiest food, but I avoid the worst foods. But I'll just go with a good grass-fed, grass-finished steak. Keep it simple.
And then what is one thing you wish you would have known about your health 15 years ago that if you would have known 15 years ago, you would have done differently?
Living my life in seasons, something we talked about before this call. So, learning how to not try to optimize for the perfect day or the perfect week, but instead for the perfect year. And sometimes that means taking off a week or taking off a month, but not trying to live my life. Like, when your kid's in school, you get summer break, you get Christmas break, and then you think you have your homework and all that, and you're like, I just can't wait till I'm done school and I'm like a working adult. And as soon as I'm done my workday at 5, I'll just be able to relax till the next day. And then you're like, oh, it didn't happen like this at all. And I think creating breaks, even as an adult, if you can in your life, and finding seasons and chapters is a really good way to like rest and recover and heal. Yeah, so living in seasons.
Okay, I like that. Well, Mike, thank you very much for joining me today and helping educate our listeners on air, which is so important and something I don't talk a lot about. So I'm really happy that we did this. And yeah, we might have to have you back on at some point. Thank you.
Nice to hope you had a good, yeah. See y'all.
I hope you found that interview with Mike, the founder of Jaspr Air Filtration System, as insightful and impactful as I did when I was doing the interview. We really, really forget about air quality. I think we just take it for granted, myself included, even as a functional medicine doctor. And so making sure that we have this safe space to breathe and to rest is so important. So if you found any of this information helpful, I'm asking that you please share this episode with your friends, your family, anyone who you think this would benefit. I think it would benefit anyone who breathes air, so that would be a lot of people. Make sure that if you did like this, you take advantage of that discount code that he allowed our listeners to have. That discount code, the really good one, is valid for about 7 days. I do have a discount code on my website as well, on modernendocrine.com under our favorites. So the things that we like, that code will be there as well, but it won't be as good as the one that he just gave you. That's valid for 7 days after this episode drops. Make sure that you're following the show, please. So follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you get these episodes when they come out. I'm going to try to get you guys great discounts like this, but a lot of times they're only valid for a week or so. So make sure you're following us so you get our episodes every time they drop. Make sure that you find me on social media at Modern Endocrine. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Talk to me on social media. Let me know who you want me to interview you, what you like, what resonates with you. I'm going to have so much stuff coming too with the book, with gut health. So make sure you're following us. And then keep in mind, Modern Endocrine is currently licensed in 33 states and counting. We have a few pending currently. So by the time this comes out, it will be more than that. If you would like to be a patient, we would be privileged to help you on your healthcare journey. We'd be privileged to help you, listen to you, try to make your symptoms better. So you can find us online, and all the information about how to become a patient is there. And make sure that you leave us a review if you do like this information that we're providing. That's how we know we're doing a good job. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the next episode of Hormones, Metabolism, and You. Have a great week. The information presented, including any materials discussed, referenced, or linked within this podcast, are for general educational purposes only, not the practice of medicine. No doctor-patient relationship is formed from you listening to this podcast or utilizing any of the information provided. I am a doctor, but I am not talking to you as your doctor. The information provided is not intended to diagnose or treat health problems or take the place of the professional medical care provided by your doctor. If you are experiencing any health problems, including problems you believe have been touched upon in any respect within this podcast, you should consult your doctor about the problems without delay. You may ask your doctor whether he or she believes the information I have provided would be helpful to you, but you should still consult your doctor immediately and follow his or her medical advice as your treating physician. I'm just here to provide you basic knowledge about the issues we discuss so you are more aware of them and can better discuss them with your doctor. That's why we call it Back to the Basics. Join me on the next episode as we continue our journey.